I'm Megan Mitchell. This is my co-host, John Morrison, and you are listening to the True North Racing Podcast.
Time to strap in, pull those belts, and get ready for an action-packed episode of the True North Racing Podcast. Are you ready to unhelmet your favorite racers? Get ready for the most fun you'll have outside the racetrack to get you ready for the next race. You're listening to John Morrison and Megan Mitchell, and this is the True North Racing Podcast.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of the True North Racing Podcast, presented by Driving with Hailey. I'm your host, John Morrison. Joining me as always is our amazing co-host, Megan Mitchell. Megan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. It's a great day to celebrate dads. Like, I guess that's the only thing I can say right about now. Megan, how was your weekend at the track?
It was not too bad. The weather was really good, finally. So
Right?
it was good.
That's
Other than the
good.
rain.
What happened last night at Flamborough?
I honestly didn't watch any of the races. My anxiety was so bad, and we were just so busy with a million different things. So I did not get to really see much.
Yeah.
But it sounded interesting. So
How did your races go?
all right. I'm still starting at the back, finishing at the back, but I'm finding that comfort again. Second feature felt really good. So
Now
was-
sorry, go ahead.
I said I was happy.
We talked last weekend off air, and I gave you a suggestion.
Mhm.
Did you try it this weekend at all or no?
To an extent. So
Okay.
I know we had talked about the whole visor thing, but with the way my anxiety was, like, it was so bad this weekend that I don't know why. I
Yeah.
could not put my visor down because it just makes me claustrophobic when I'm in that anxious state. So I didn't really do that. I kind of just before we went out, I kind of just sat there with my eyes closed and just sat there until we were ready to go out. And then I kind of opened and did that whole walking through another door thing that we talked about.
Yeah.
And it kind of helped. I feel like I kind of put everything on the back burner and was like, okay, let's go.
All right.
Time to do this.
Hey, at least you tried something different.
Mm.
Did it work?
Yeah.
That's what we want to hear. We made sure that it actually worked.
Yeah.
Let's get into our Peps Pro Painting opening segment. Sauble Speedway finally got to open this weekend. Grand
Yeah.
Bend finally opened up for their race seasons. Got to give a big shout out to Graydon Bunn from Stickers and Scuffs podcast for picking up his first heat win up at Sauble Speedway on Saturday night. Man, the guy has learned so much in the past 3 years and goes out in Alex Stewart's old car and picks up a heat win.
That was really good to see. That was exciting for him.
And of course, the campground crew guys are all a bunch of fun. I'm sure I'll be running into them in a couple weeks here when me and the boys go up to Sauble Speedway. It's hoping it's going to be a great night up there. That's all we can hope for.
Mm-hmm.
Over at Grand Bend, Jacob Ross picked up a feature win, actually both features in the late models. He blew up before the racing even started, which is never a good thing.
No.
But he picked up a win he picked up the wins in the borrowed car from Grand Bend Speedway. So, congratulations to Jacob Ross on his 2 feature wins out there. And the Pug, I saw that the Pug went to victory lane.
Yeah.
How cool was that?
That was really cool. I was kind of watching the board, and I'm watching him and Leo, and I'm like, oh my God. That was really exciting. Did you see his interview at the end?
No, I haven't even seen the video yet.
Oh my God. just
Is it
so much.
good?
Oh yeah, I was so happy for him. Oh my gosh.
I'll have to go back and check it out. Um, over at Peterborough, the APC late models took their turn at the 1/3 mile oval of Peterborough. Um, I got this to say. I am so impressed by Kyle Steckley.
Yeah.
Did you see how many miles he had to travel this weekend just to compete?
No.
All right, I'm gonna pull it up real quick. This dude flew from Wisconsin on Friday. Or sorry, he raced Friday night, if I remember correctly. He raced Friday. Where's that weekend here? There it is. He raced Friday at Madison with the Stars National ASA Tour. Then he flew 553 miles to Peterborough to race Saturday night with the APC um, late models,
Oh my God.
and then flew another 486 miles back to Milwaukee to compete in the Stars National Tour race today at the Milwaukee Mile.
It's dedication.
Dude, he's showing us what determination is like, and um, we've had Kyle on the show before, and actually this past week, uh, a photo I took of his car from 2020 came across my feed, and I had to look at it real quick, and I go, I kind of curious if that picture was still sitting up in the shop. So
Mm,
I put out the post on Facebook and said, "Hey Kyle, is this still hanging up in the shop?" And he responded with a picture of that car up in the shop.
nice.
And I looked at it, I'm like, damn, like how like I look at it and it's like, damn, he took a picture of mine and I edited the picture very heavily. If you've seen it on my
Mhm.
Facebook, but it looks so clean.
Yeah.
Like I'll say it's not as good as Rachel's in drawn ones, but it kind of looks like one of them.
Yeah.
And I think I did a hell of a job with it.
It was a good picture. I remember that one.
It's and of course I'd asked it, and it's still hanging up in the shop,
That's sweet.
hanging up next to his dad's photos when his dad was running the Canadian Tire Series, now Pinty's, now Canada Series.
Mhm.
You know, it's so cool to sit there and look at it and be like, man, like that. How cool is that? Like he got a canvas photo of
Yeah.
something I took up there, so I was pretty impressed with that. I was pretty happy with that. Um, but next weekend, I'm already looking forward to next weekend because June 22nd, first of all, I'm gonna be very, very busy that day.
Hmm.
Saturday morning, I gotta go to Arthur, Ontario, as it is my best man for my wedding, Brandon Jacobson. It's his daughter's first birthday.
Oh.
So we're gonna head up there, go celebrate her first birthday. Um, and then I think just shortly after I'm planning to stay till just shortly after the cake smash. Um, that we'll have to head down to Flamborough as we'll be going to record with JTM Racing's Tenley Pepin for a day at the races vlog series. So that's I'm looking forward to that. Should be fun.
Hmm.
Uh, this is my first of three in a row, so I'm gonna be exhausted. But 3 weeks,
Yeah.
three different tracks too. Um, I'm looking forward to it. This week's Flamborough, next week is Sobel, and then the week after that, we're going to Sunset Speedway for our first trip of the year.
Nice.
And three different divisions too,
Yeah. That'd be cool.
which is fun. So you guys are going to get a lot of content coming from Joe Media Promotions in the coming weeks.
Let's meet the drivers next weekend.
And meet the drivers. Oh, you got your. I was about to say, do you have your hero card ready? And I just realized, like, I placed the order in today for them. So,
Do you
uh,
have micro cards?
no, my printer does though.
Yeah.
Actually, our printer is John Carley over at Georgetown Printing. If you guys are looking to get hero cards designed, I highly suggest going over to GraphInk Design Studio. If you're looking to if you already got someone designed and you're looking to get them printed, contact my man John Carley. If you're not able to, get a hold of me. I will put the order in for you. And yeah, It's kind of fun doing this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So I'm sure I will have them for on. So I'll have them on Saturday for you guys.
Okay.
So I'll be bringing them down with me. I'll make sure they're in my car. Um, yeah, I'm excited for me the driver's night. I got my headband ready. Gonna put the GoPro on it. We're gonna go walking throughout the infield with everyone talking, and I don't know, maybe if I'll hang around with just GTM racing, or maybe I'll go for my Michael Waltrip grid walk. I don't know yet. We'll see what kind
Mhm.
of transpires. Um, but me, the driver's night is always so much fun.
Mhm.
Like you get to pull out onto the front stretch of the racetrack. You get to sit there for about 10, 15 minutes and be able to talk to the fans who come by, even racers who will come by and grab a hero card.
Yeah. I'm
And
excited. This was my first one. Yay.
oh, it is too. Oh man, I'm excited. Now, do I need to tell you that the camera's on, or are you just gonna assume this year?
I'm gonna assume, but as soon as you tell me, that's yeah, it's game over.
Um, yeah, so if you guys are able to make it out to it, come on out to Flamborough Speedway on June 22nd for Meet the Drivers Night. It is a fan favorite. It is a driver's favorite because it's one of the few times they get close and personal with the fans. Um, I kind of gave you guys slack a couple weeks ago there, when I was at Flamborough with the APC series and with Cam Thompson. I was like, "Hey, you guys got hero cards?" And they're like, "No." I'm like,
You know what made me
"I."
mad is I heard him ask, "Does anybody have candy?" And I'm like, "Oh, we do." And I went to go running after you guys, and then they were calling Pure Stocks to line up. I'm like,
Oh, jeez.
I have a ton of candy.
Oh, there was lots of candy. I don't know. I can't remember if there was candy being handed out or not. But you know what though? It passed. It helped pass some time.
Mhm.
The uh Spencer and Brady came over and they had a blast. So uh that's kind of all that matters.
Yeah.
That the fans got to talk to some drivers. And again, I apologize to Jason for assuming he was being a smartass. Um, I've known him for years. So like he got over there and he's like, we got over there. He's like, "Hey man, thanks for doing this." Like, talks to Jerry's like, "You don't see this." I'm like, "Are you being a smartass right now?" He goes, "No, no, 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 no." Uh, the one thing I'm excited for tonight on this show is we're not sitting down with the driver, and this is the second week in a row we're not sitting down with the driver. We are chatting with the guys from the Wide World of Motorsports. We got Michael Wallace and Damin Sawyer joining us in a few minutes. Uh, they it James was supposed to join us, but he ended up going to a Cats game tonight.
Mm.
So hope the Cats lose. That's all I'm saying. I'm hoping the Cats lose at this point. You could have been sitting here with us having a blast, but no, Cats. Um, just kidding, buddy. Hope you have a great time. But yeah, Michael Wallace is the one of the voices on the Wide World of Motorsports. And if you catch them on social media, they talk about all different forms of racing from F1 to IndyCar to NASCAR to Canada Series to APC late models. They do a great job at talking about a lot of different motorsports, and that's what. Whereas like myself, Stickers and Scuffs, Feeney Call, we really just stick to
Mhm.
local short track racing. These guys really branch out, and We're gonna find out how the show got started, how they even got to know each other. They just wrapped up in iRacing League not too long ago. So it's I'm excited to find out more about these guys. I've talked to them on a handful of occasions. James, Jordan, Damin, Michael, we were all in the podcasters slot car races battle.
Mhm.
So we got lots of stories to tell from that. And even from the show, like they had like Junior Farley come up, they had Dan Bailey come up on do live shows. They even joined me for a quick live show uh throughout the weekend. So it's gonna get a good chance more to talk about how they got started, and I think they're in their 7th season now.
Oh wow.
So it's been an incredible ride for them.
Mhm.
Like we've been doing this we're entering our 4th year. Like this, I'm counting this as my 4th season.
Yeah.
But for 7 years they've been doing this. That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's I think it's time. I think it's time. Let's get the guys in tonight.
Mhm.
All right, guys. This week on the GraphInk Design Studio guest segment, we are being joined by the Wide World of Motorsports. In our GraphInk Design Studio guest segment this week, we got 2 members of the Wide World of Motorsports. Please welcome to the show, Damin, Sawyer, and Mike Wallace. How's it going, guys?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Anytime.
Yeah, really good. Thanks for having us.
No problem. We are podcasting colleagues, as you guys are 2 personalities with the Wide World in Motorsports. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about, wow, I cannot speak tonight apparently. Why don't you take a couple minutes here and tell us a little bit about the show?
Starstruck is what you are.
I am starstruck.
Yeah.
My heart's beating a million miles a minute here. This is my best show so far.
That's hilarious. So yeah, I don't know. The show has been around for a while. We're in our 7th season. It all really started with El Commandator Jordan, who is not here, which is he got roped into something that I don't think he could break. So that's unfortunate, but he's got a face for radio anyways. That's why it's always been a radio show.
I know,
But
we were talking crap a little bit about James earlier, saying how could he not miss this opportunity right here?
I know we'll have to deal with him when we see him at the racetrack next. But back to the WOMs. The WOMs, yeah, started with him when he ended up going to the Daytona 500, and that's where the doors opened, and he thought he should do something more, I guess. And fast forward to about the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, he was looking for some help, and that's where I came in.
And how have you guys been enjoying that journey so far?
It's a lot of fun. It's interesting. Sorry, I'm moving around here. I talk about this a lot, actually. When I was younger, I thought there's only one way into racing, and that was being a driver, even though you can see other stuff. And being able to be just as involved and excited to go to the races and do something else was something that I had never thought was possible. So to be just as involved, not being directly affiliated with a car or team like I thought I had to be, was awesome. And once you accept that or realize that, then you see the opportunities being involved in motorsports are endless, because there's always photography or videography, interviews, podcasts. So and that's just been really enjoyable to know that, hey, there's another spot for me to fit in.
Absolutely. Damin, how about yourself?
Yeah, so I've been involved with motorsports on the photography side since 2018, I believe, was my first credentialed event. That was at VIR, Virginia National Raceway, for the first ever Trans Am with the old pros. So like they had Dorsey Schrader and Mike Skinner and Mike Joyette, all those guys together, and they were racing old cars. And it was like a pro-am event. So that was my first time doing something like that. But I hooked up with the WOMs in I guess last year, actually. So I had heard of Jordan. He posts in the NASCAR Canada like fan page, and I had actually I passed him at Delaware in 2022. Well, then 2023 season opener at Sunset, I met up with Wally, and I was like, "Oh, this guy looks cool." And it was like, so we started shooting the breeze, and he's you talking about the podcast. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I would love to be on something like that." And so I want to say it was in August, because it was like right before, right after iCar was my
Mhm.
first show. And then yeah, we've just been going strong on that. But when I'm not doing that, it's like something we talked off there. So I've been working with a couple different online uh, like news credential people. So in 2019, I did several events for a now defunct page called Rubbins Racing. I did CTMP for the truck race, and then in 21, I kind of got my big break. I covered the NASCAR weekend in Nashville, and I got noticed by a couple team photographers. Like that didn't lead into where I was hoping it would lead up to at the time, but then I got in with another page at tobychristie.com, because he was actually a protege of the guy who would run Rubbings Racing. So I get to do several events throughout the year for Toby. And actually, I did last year, Watkins Glen, I covered for a team. I was told I can't really talk about which team I covered for. So, but I was working under contract for a team for that weekend. So that was really cool. So yeah,
Nice.
get to talk and do the photos, and a little bit of everything. It's like Wally said, like, everyone thinks you have to be a racer or a mechanic to get into the racing world, but there's so many different avenues that you can take. It really is awesome.
You guys hit it on the nail there. Like, I got into racing when I was 16, and I thought, like, I was part of a crew up until from I was 16. So I was like 2008-ish, 2009.
Mm.
Yeah, because it was the last year of Lucas Oil, and then that was 2007 to 2008. So around that time frame, um, they I started helping out with the team, and like you guys said, like, you thought to get into racing you have to be a part of something. Uh, so
Yeah.
I went that route, and it after 2019, my buddy had a huge hard wreck. Um, after all the work we put in on throughout the winter to get it put back, to get it ready to go, and within like 5 laps of the first feature, he wrecks into the outside wall. I'm like, I'm done with this. I'm done with that side. So like for 2018, like 2019, I took most of the year off because it didn't make sense for me to go out and help, and it really I kind of lost my love for racing.
Mhm.
I went to one race at Oswego, and I went to one race at Full Throttle Motor Speedway, and which is strange to say because I love Full Throttle, but I'm not a huge fan of the action there. Um, it's just too tight. It's too tight of a track for me. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mm.
It's too tight. Lots of beating and banging, and I don't like that kind of racing. I like clean, fun racing, and sometimes the racing there, it's hard. It's hard, especially turn 4. Between 3 and 4, the wall comes out to you really close. It puts on great racing, but I don't know. I love the place though.
Yeah,
Um,
banking in turn one is like crazy when you get up and close with it. I really never thought it was that banked until I got close to it there.
yeah, it's just one of those tracks, and then of course going to Oswego. Hell, that was the first time I ever been to a dirt track in my life, and it hooked me. From that point on, I was hooked. I was watching G-Force every Friday night, wanting to watch dirt track racing from Oswego. And, you know, now it's grown into this, and it's good to see that you guys took a path where you guys got involved, liked racing so much that you guys were able to find an avenue to enter the sport that didn't have to require you to be a crew member or a driver.
And it
My
really
goodness.
it really didn't require any talent, to be completely honest. You know, it was I myself I had been watching racing for so many years, and I was getting to the point that I needed to talk more about it, or I wanted to get into analyzing it, asking questions about it. I listened to quite a few podcasts, and that was that was always really interesting to me, and it was actually never an interest to be famous or to get noticed or liked. It was actually, a lot of it was just a selfish, I want to know more for me, so I'm going to use these avenues. Not going to use these avenues, but those avenues eventually opened up. But man, I just lost my train of thought. That'll happen a lot. That's a Wally thing, isn't it, Damin?
That's why we have a little bit of a schedule when we do our shows, because we can go on tangents, or we're just like, oh man, I got no idea what's going on. Just out of nowhere.
Yeah, I completely lost my frame of reference of what we were talking, like why I was talking about that specifically.
You had,
Oh, dude,
you
it's
had
all good.
specifically said that getting into this required no skill. With the
Yeah,
avenues that we
yes,
took,
there
I
you
think
go.
that's where we're.
Yes, so it required no skill. That's right. And then I saw, just kind of serendipitously, Jordan had posted in it's called Mosport Then Now Forever. I can't remember the full title, which is just a fan page for CTMP, which I really like. Actually, it's a great page. Lots of good content on there of amateur and professional stuff. So Jordan had made a post saying he was looking for some help, it just with the show, nothing else, no photography. And I was like, well, I mean, I can surely talk about racing. Let's give this a try. And it kind of just been that ever since.
And you know what? It's kind of cool how you guys were able to meet because Damin, if I remember correctly, you're not even from Canada.
I mean, a lot of people say I might as well just be Canadian. I spend a lot
At
of
this
time in
point, you
Canada,
might as well.
but I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live in northern New York. I'm 90 minutes south of Ottawa, and I'm like 4 hours northwestish of just the state capital of New York. So like I'm so far out of anything from New York that Montreal's 3 hours, Ottawa's 90 minutes, Toronto's like 4 hours, New York
Okay,
City's
so
like 7. So
quickly, let me
just
put that into perspective. He's closer to, like, it would take me like 7 hours to get to Montreal, or it'd take him 3 hours.
Yeah, you're way out over that way, if I remember correctly, didn't you drive to and from Motorama? Or
Who,
did you
me?
just crash down there? No,
No.
Damin.
Okay. Sorry, go.
Oh no, we got an Airbnb
Okay.
just a few minutes from the event
I just
center. I
couldn't
didn't
remember.
drive there. No, God,
Oh,
no,
because
not
we
that.
were talking on the Sunday about it. That's why. Because we
I
talked about how
left.
you having to leave early to head back home.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't remember why I left particularly early because I think just because it was the weather. It was the weather was why. I
Yeah.
remember I crossed the bridge back into the States and then the snow just started. Like it just started coming down snow. So I still had 40 minutes on back roads at that point to get home. So I'm like, oh, this is great. So that's why I left early.
Yeah. It's always interesting on how people got involved in motorsports or why they fell in love with motorsports. For me, it's always been that way. Ever since I watched my first NASCAR race when I was like 8, 9 years old, on TV. And I know Megan, she grew up with it with her dad racing. How did you guys end up falling in love with this crazy sport we all love?
You go first, Damin.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So in our house, it didn't matter if I was at, with my parents or was at my grandparents. There's only, well, if it was at our house, it was two things. It was football or NASCAR. If I was at my grandparents' house, it was golf, football, and NASCAR. So literally since I was in diapers, we were watching NASCAR, and then we watched Indy 500 every year, whatever. But so yeah, NASCAR literally. I'd only gone to two races as a child. We went to Watkins Glen twice in '96 and '97, but yeah, we watched NASCAR religiously every single weekend. Well, my family did until Dale Earnhardt passed, and then they really stopped watching it. They were big fans. Well, my mom was a Russ Wallace fan. Her spouse was a Dale Earnhardt fan. I was a Michael Waltrip fan, so kind of like I always had to be different and that kind of stuff. But yeah,
Don't be
just Yeah. So, but it was always NASCAR's always, and to me, I never lost the love, and I expanded. So, like within the last several years, I watch everything: NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, all the sports cars. Like I'll go on YouTube and watch like some regional European thing that's broadcasting live on YouTube, whatever. I've stayed up, watched like the Macau GPs and things like that. So that's just my number one thing.
Yeah, for me, actually, my dad is what got me into, like most people or most guys, their dads get them into the sport. We started going to Barrie Speedway when I was really young. Um, I'm not sure how old I was, but I was probably about 6 or 7, and then my dad started working at the track in the tech shed because he knew Brad, one of the head tech guy at the time, Brad Richmond. And so then I just started going. I was a little bit older, and I started going with him to the track. And then I was allowed into the pits. Not many kids my age were allowed into the pits. I was kind of given that special treatment just because Dad was there. So I got to see. I got to see what that kind of racing was like behind the door at a very young age. The aggressiveness, like the fights, guys coming in off the track just steaming mad, the car's steaming, and they pull up to the tech shed, and the guy's there with the hose spraying the front of the car, and then somebody else pull up, and he's switching back and forth between two cars, and they're screaming at each other, and they're lighting cigarettes while they're in the car, and you're just like, God damn. And that was racing for me. My dad didn't really like anything else. Not that he didn't like it, he just didn't watch it. It was me that found NASCAR. And then at some point, I remember watching, a bit of Formula One or IndyCar. And then there was a moment where I went, oh, there's a whole other style of racing out there that I didn't know existed. And then that was the end of it. I remember specifically being in grade. So I must be 8, 9. I go down to a Dial movie, which is a movie rental place. So I'm that old. Those existed. And VHS movie rental place. And I went and I saw the movie Le Mans with Steve McQueen, and I rented it. And I fell in love. It was like core memory, my being was built in that movie, and I was never going to not love racing from that young an age. And I remember actually I would go back down to the movie rental store and I would re-rent it. Multiple
Just
times.
hand it into them and then just.
Yeah, or it was like a weekend thing. My parents gave me a couple of allowance, and I would go down and rent a movie. It was like that. That's where I saw that movie rental places where I saw the movie Grand Prix for the first time. I remember taking that home double VHS. I couldn't believe it. And then it's just been, as you can hear from me, it's just been everything you can see behind me. I got tons of different style of racing stuff, endurance stuff. I keep everything. I got lug nut. This lug nut is Trayton's 2022 championship car. So Delaware lug nut. I got Max on there.
Oh,
so
wow.
I just everything, right? And now it consumes me. I tell everybody it's family, work, racing, and then there's no room for anything else.
That sounds like a lot of us. Like, I know Megan, that's the same way.
I have to say that's relatable. And
yeah.
For Michael, how did you get into or involved in like the APC series?
Right place, right time. Let's be honest. So, we were at Motorama. So Alex Nagy, who is competition director for United Racing Series or the conglomerate there, you see him lots at the tracks for different reasons. And I had introduced myself and us as the WOMs, and at Motorama this year, I had went up to him and I just said, "Hey, who do we get in touch with to cover the races? Because we'd like to cover the series a little bit more this year." And he asked, we chit chat and whatever. And so I went away, and I somebody else that we were chatting with him, and he had been very helpful. And they said to me, "Oh, their social media person just stepped away. They're going to do some other things." And I went, "Oh, okay." And then I remember Damin specifically kind of pushing me, like, you should go talk to him about it. So I went back to Alex and I said, "Hey, I hear you're looking for a social media person." And they went, or PR, I don't know what my actual title is. And he said, "Wow, that just like happened a couple days ago." And I said, "Well, that's racing." I'm surprised, that kind of news travels pretty fast. So I said, I'm interested. I'm not trained in this. Like, going a quick tangent here about this. We would go to the track with no agenda, right? When we go to the track to photograph or interviews, we kind of have an idea, but it wasn't like we need to get this and this, and we need to make sure we were here for this, and I got to mention that sponsor, I got to get his name right. So I had none of that type of experience. So I let in with that and said, "Hey, I would like to chit chat about the opportunity to cover the series," and he gave me the opportunity. So here we are.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very humbled by it. I'm appreciative about it. I'm very critical of like myself. So I'm very, everything that I do has a lot of thought that's into it. I do make mistakes. Those are like, I'm just human, but the position's not lost. Like what I'm doing isn't lost on me. Like I feel so excited to be able to do it.
That's awesome. It was definitely like, cause I didn't know about that. And of course I was talking to James last week about how, cause he reached out about how to get, into Flamborough Speedway. And, we were talking about it, and he's like, "Oh, Wally's getting in because he's part of the APC." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even know that. That's kind of cool." And then I went back and started looking at the social media posts, I was like, he's doing a pretty good job. I'll have to like.
Thank you. Those are very kind words, and I appreciate that. I just make the content; they produce it. So a lot of thanks goes to those guys out there.
They're doing a hell of a job. I mean, of course, Damin over here pushing you, which is awesome. You got people in your corner who are just like, "Hey, man, go for it! Like you got it. You got to do it." I've been on the end of that as well. Like that's how I got involved with the CVMs to do all their stuff. At one point was, I heard that they were looking for someone to take on the social media role, and I was like, "Well, what the hell? I'll just like you said, reach out, ask. All the worst they're gonna do is say no."
Yeah, exactly. And it is a bit surreal. I was actually just talking to my wife about it tonight. I said, I can't believe how close they let me get to the race cars. And she goes, "At your own risk." And I'm like, "Wow, yeah, of course." But nobody's thinking about that. But it's a blast. I feel I'm lucky that do it. And of course, Damin pushed me to do it because I don't know how much I would have went for it. But
I was texting him. I would message him like, "Hey, did you email him back? Like, did you check in? Like, just like, come on. I know you want this, buddy. Like, let's."
And I have to admit, I'm happy to know that you didn't know that I'd moved into that position. I didn't want. Felt I'm very focused on not making this about me because I'm there to represent those drivers and that racing. I appreciate the compliments, of course, for sure. I just kind of didn't broadcast it because we just didn't want to make a big show about it. It's not about me.
Well, just so you know, you got the True North Racing podcast standing behind you, cheering you on each time you're at the racetrack to do this stuff. Just know that.
I appreciate that. I really do. It is nice to know that, right? It is nice to hear that those kind of things, because it's a gauge on how well things are going, right? It's not for my ego. It's a gauge on like, okay, we're headed down the right path of the content of what people are happy to see and what they like to see, what they want to see more of, maybe. So it's all welcomed for sure. Damin's coming this year though. When's your first race there?
Oh.
I'm excited to have him to really get a good look at those guys.
Yeah, so my first race was going to be the first Sobble in the first weekend of August, but while I was out of town this weekend, I got an email that came out my Airbnb in Toronto canceled because I was supposed to go cover the Indy race. So it was already a hassle to find that Airbnb, and when that happened, I'm like, all right, you know what, screw it. We're just not going to go to Toronto, so I'm going to do the Flamborough event the week previous. So that'll be my first APC event.
You get to see him, Johnny. And Megan.
Megan won't be there for the second APC race.
Oh, right.
That's your off weekend, and I don't.
Yeah.
Give your people time off? What's that about?
No. She doesn't. She just gets the night off from racing because they're not scheduled that night.
Oh, okay.
And I'm currently not scheduled to go to the second APC race at Sobble or at Flamborough. Sorry. I don't get upset with me. I have what is it? I'm about to go on a 3-week stretch here of going to Flamborough, Sobble, and then Sunset.
Okay,
Good.
well,
I need a week off.
That's a good run.
And I'm going, and of course the long weekend is when I'm going to Sobble. So I'm camping out at the Sobble Falls Tent and Trailer Park.
Oh, the famous.
Oh yeah, I think I even got the same spot I picked out 2 years ago as well, which is awesome.
That's super cool. What weekend's the long weekend that you'll be at Sobble?
Canada Day. You guys won't be there.
I'm an idiot. I should have known that. No, I won't be there either.
You won't be there with APC. I already know that. I know the schedule pretty well.
You know what? I should know the schedule. Like, that's something I should know as what I do, but I don't. I haven't memorized it, but I have it on my calendar.
You're at Delaware that weekend.
Yes, I am at Delaware that weekend. That's right. Oh, okay. So this is why I'm confused, because I have, when they ghost you days on the calendars, it's the number of the next month just lighter.
Yeah.
And then you flip it because they want to. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, that's right. Well, that'll be a good race. I'm excited. Are you? Yeah. Sorry.
It's all good. It's I don't even know if I'm going to get back to an APC race this year, but if I do, I'll definitely be reaching out to you guys when I get there. I'm sorry. I got my kids that weekend the next time, and
hey, I hear you. There comes so before I took the position of or this role, I had about a 9-race schedule, maybe probably about a 9-race schedule that involved a couple of APC races. It involved NASCAR Canada at a couple races, and I think that was it. But once this came, unfortunately, that previous list gets scrapped, right? You can only go to so much. You can only do so much, and you have to give yourself time off. You can't be, this is an off weekend for me coming up, which I'm happy with. I get to go to the trailer with the family and hang out and everything like that, because I've not been able to the last 2 races. But you can't be everywhere, and it's super hard to choose something over something else, because they're both important to you, right? You want to be there. You just can't. And it's sometimes it's just really, okay, that one, it's that one. I'm going to that one, and it's going to be that one. And that's your decision, right? There was nothing else involved in it.
Yeah. It was like, for me, like I'm 1 for 4 on race day vlogs, and I have to reschedule 2.
Oh, really? For rain?
Yeah. Because of the rain. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even the one vlog, the driver who has it is gifting it to a driver at full throttle.
A vlog.
Yeah.
When's that?
I haven't even reached out to them yet to set that up. But I only have, if I look at
Like 2 months.
I only
Like you
have
have eight days. You have 8 days to fit that in.
yeah. Like I have the 13th to 20th off. I have to move the 17th. I have to move the August 17th race. Like I have so much more I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to move another race still, and it's just like I'm running out of weekends.
It's hard. It's hard. The one thing I like about what our schedule is they're 1-day shows. You know, Damin can attest to this of going to an IMSA weekend or an IndyCar weekend or the bigger NASCAR races for sure for Damin. I mean, they're multi-day events, and you're on your feet. Road courses in particular are real difficult because they start at 8 in the morning. There's something on track right away, so you got to be up super early always for that stuff. But it's a lot of fun. It's unique to see the mentality or the styles or the setups from series to series, from style of racing. You know, the little bit I've been around dirt, I'm always fascinated by how things are done there.
I suggest you need to come out with me on a night to the dirt track, and we'll go hang out in the pits.
I would love to do that. The problem is they're also, I mean, the Big O is the closest one, but they race on Fridays, which typically is difficult. And I don't even know how far Merrittville is from, not Merrittville. What other dirt is Merrittville dirt track?
Yep, Merrittville's dirt.
Yeah, see, that's how little I know about that. Here's another thing about this little world that I grew up in. Like, I only knew Barrie Speedway, Sunset. I knew that Delaware existed and Kawartha, and I heard of a Flamborough.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, I start hearing like Ohsweken and Merrittville and Grand Bend, and I'm like, "What are these?" And people go, "Oh, those are racetracks." What? What do you mean they're racetracks? I mean, these exist in this province. I mean, they're all very far away from me, but you know, a good 4 or 5 hour drive. But
whereabouts are you from?
So I live in Midland, which is 40 minutes north of Sunset Speedway.
I know exactly where that is.
Yeah, so like I always say this, you know, I'm not sure. Delaware is probably the farthest one that I have to go to. I make it the longest versus for time because I choose not to take highways or the 407 because I like my sanity. And it's you know, I'm sure you guys have driven out through that country, that part of the country, and it's gorgeous out there.
Oh yeah.
And there's no traffic too either, which is awesome.
You know what? There's nothing wrong with making a trip longer if it protects your sanity.
Yeah.
Like I'm in Brampton. Like Jacqueline sees it. My demeanor changes once I'm away from Brampton, but specifically once I'm outside of Kitchener, Stony Creek area, 400 out just south of just north of Vaughan there. She can see my, I wouldn't say anxiety, but my anticipation to get into smoother traffic really settle down. Because once I get out there, like I do 130 and I'm whipping in through traffic. I'll admit to that. I'm stupid when it comes to it. But you get me into an area where I can just essentially set it on cruise control. I will park that thing in the middle lane at 120, go out and pass people as I need to if I catch them.
Yeah, you know what? I actually kind of get that mentality. I've worked on that, calming myself when I drive. Like one of the things I've done, like I just said, is I just avoid the thing that gives me anxiety. And it's not so much the driving. The driving doesn't bother me. I could drive for hours and hours and miles and miles. Yep. It doesn't bother me. It is, like you said, that unpredictability of people around you, and it's getting. You know, I'm 37. I've been driving since I was 16. It's getting worse.
Yeah,
and it's not. it's the awareness level that there's other people on the road, the awareness that there's other people. It's like if I see people just think, well, I had to slam on the brakes because they were stopping, and they'll have no thought process that there's like 13 other people behind you, that it's going to just multiply in intensity as you go back, right? And maybe that has a lot to do with the racing, right? Because that's something we see. You see that stack up. You understand there's other things going on around you, and it's not just you in this little bubble.
Yeah.
So I get that. I know exactly what you mean. My wife hates it because actually if we have to go down to the city, I just go, you drive, I'll sit in the back. I don't care. I just she's got a better demeanor for it, and it just makes for a better day for everybody involved.
I just drive everywhere. I yesterday we went up to the Brampton airport because I meant to talk about this in our opening segment. They have a World War One museum at the Brampton airport.
Really?
I'm not talking about Pearson, but there's a privately owned strip just off the 410. Well, actually, it's north of 410. And they have a World War One museum there, and it's a beautiful little spot. They have 3 replica World War One planes. One that was the replica would have been flown by the Red Baron himself.
Oh, cool.
There's another plane that they have in their arsenal that was involved in a movie with I think it was Leonardo DiCaprio. Actually,
An aviator?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, he plays Howard Hughes in that movie. Howard Hughes is one of my idols. I have his autobiography up there.
Nice. But yeah, it's good. So they have you can go in, it's free to go. All they ask is for a donation, and it helps keep the planes flying, and they do fly those planes. And what is it? You pay $200 to be a member, and you have a chance. You can go up in the rear facing plane to act like a gunner kind of thing.
That's cool.
So it's not even like a typical like a biplane or something like that where you got a second seat. No.
Right.
You be going up facing backwards, facing the tail.
That's super cool.
Oh yeah. And it's kind of funny because it sounded like the one guy was trying to recruit me yesterday. He was like, "We need more young people in here." I'm like, "Dude, if you understand how busy I am in my personal life, no."
Yeah. Racing is sometimes when you get involved at any levels, but even our level, it can be very consuming, and it's weird because it's consuming during a time that people typically aren't consuming that like work. Do you know what I mean? Right? We always work on weekends. That's our main time. And that sometimes makes it difficult. I think that's what draws people sometimes entering in, because they don't realize the commitment level to being at the track and doing stuff. And then the weekly stuff, like teams are always working on cars or whatnot, drivers sometimes too. And then got people like us, we're editing or recording, we're just trying to produce content and fact checking and researching and it's an all encompassing thing sometimes.
It's always crazy it's just like racing. You only see that product on the track. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And you guys definitely have the behind the scenes really covered in, like you were just saying yourself, the research, fact checking, making sure everything's correct. There's always a lot of work that goes into making sure these things are correct, so we're not putting out false information or false claims. And the work, I'm not equaling it to working on a race car, but it is a lot of work to make sure that everything is correct.
Yeah, I think Damin, you can agree. Like when you go through your 2,000 pictures from a weekend and edit and put images, like if you want to compare time, I would say that there's some times where we probably put in the same amount of time. Is it physical effort? No, but that shouldn't, that's you shouldn't have to compare it like that, right? We have the same commitment level, right? And same desire and passion for the sport. We just operate in different areas. Like, I know
Yeah.
you speak on that. You do more of the photos.
So yeah, one of my previous opportunities when I was working with that publication, Rubbins Racing, as I had mentioned. So in 2019, I got a chance to cover at Mont Tremblant the season finale of the Porsche Canada Cup and the Nissan Micro Series. Well, the track had told us that in order for us to keep the credential, I had to write. Not only was I doing photos, but I also had to write like a recap of everything that had happened for each of the series. So I was at the track, and I actually didn't even know that there was a media center at that track until as I went to go turn in my vest. So like literally, I was at the track, but thankfully I was staying in a suite or whatever. It was like just down the street. So I was at the track all day, and then I had to go back there, and I had to type up like 3 or 4 different articles and get them submitted that night. And it was just like, this is supposed to be like it's not a vacation, but some people are like, oh, you must be just going out and having fun. Like, no, I'm working my butt off here. So
It is. I think sometimes people don't realize that trying to be, even in a little post, like I can sometimes the words just come from somewhere, unknown force, right? But there are times that I'll look at it, I'll type it, I'll erase it, I'll type, and you're just trying to think of like, how do I write this? Like how the words don't come out the way you want. It sounds maybe pretentious or jerkish, or and you're like, no, that's not like there is work in the creative process sometimes, right? Like you have to really think hard some days, which makes it frustrating, right? Because other days it comes easy.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
It's I can't tell you how many times I sit here and I'm writing posts throughout a week. Hell, I didn't get half of my race day posters I wanted up for yesterday because I ran out of time to write all of them. When you got 50 plus drivers, it kind of does your time is
that's a lot.
You got to make sure you're writing exactly what you need to write first try. You don't get a second, third, fourth try.
No, because it's all about multiplying the time, right? If you take 5 minutes a poster, you times that by 50 people. Well, now you're 4 hours or whatever into doing typing out the computer, and then that's at a constant rate of 5 minutes. 5 minutes a poster. That's not taking into fatigue in any way. Bathroom breaks,
water breaks, bathroom,
right. So
you have the TV on. You watch like 30-minute show and.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, doom scroll for 20 minutes.
You have to compile the information beforehand on top of all that.
Excuse me.
So.
Yeah. So it can be, for sure. It can be, and we shouldn't be complaining. Like, I'm not complaining. I don't want it to come across for complaining. There's effort that gets put into our side as well, right? Like we're as equally passionate as the drivers and mechanics and teams. We're just on a different side.
Absolutely. We and I know a lot of them, they do appreciate all the pictures, the videos, the interviews. And I find that's one thing they want a lot more of is the interviews or the in-car footage stuff. Because unless you're consistently in the top 5, top 3, let's say, you don't get a lot of airtime. And when you got a series and you got guys who are running 15, 16, 17, but there's a hell of a battle back there. That deserves to be talked about just as much as the guy who just put on a dominating performance out front. And when we're able to cover stuff like that, I find those drivers are really appreciative of, oh shoot, we got noticed for putting on a good battle here for 10, 15 laps side by side. No one else saw it but this guy. Right. And I think a lot of us really look forward to the race recaps the following day to hear about what the drivers' perspectives of their race was. You know,
Yeah, sorry, go.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, and you can get some really good stuff out of those guys. Like I'm just thinking, Dan McCaddy won at Peterborough last night for the APC. You know, he's a hometown guy. APC has it set up that they have this home track rules package so that
Yep.
we can, that if you're a home track guy and you want to race with us, you can. So that's really cool. But I got a good interview pre-race with them, and it was really interesting going into some details of how the track races, the lines. I noticed he had a very different line into turn one, particularly than anybody else. So we talked about that. And I don't know anybody that's a race fan that doesn't enjoy hearing that stuff. I'm sure there's fans that don't like the in the weeds details about that kind of stuff, but I find that a lot of people do enjoy hearing that stuff. And it maybe whether it helps them understand it more, helps them understand the race more. You can, you know, everything compiles. You can understand why an accident maybe happened or what happened in that situation. And those guys, some of those guys who've been racing for, you know, so long have great insight into how to race, you know, racecraft, sportsmanship, which are all important too. And they're just driving the cars. They've driven through different generations of styles of cars. So you can get a lot of knowledge out of those kind of guys at the track for sure.
I will say this, Dan McCaddy, he's won, I think, multiple track championships there. He knows how to get around Peterborough Speedway, and a lot of people say turn one is one of the worst turns in Ontario, at least, because it drives so differently.
Yeah, it's super important because it really actually sets up the rest of the track, because it sets up whether you get a good drive down. You know, Peterborough is a capital D. The back of the straight part of the D would be the front stretch, and the back stretch kind of curves all the way around. But it almost like it extra curves and the way it like comes in. But what I noticed with Dan in particular, he was really shallow into corner entry there. I was standing on the outside of it, and everybody else. So if Dan came in like this, everybody else was a little bit higher, and they were trying to cut that arc to get that speed down the back stretch. But Dan was like, no, you just come in there, you get a nice little rotation, you get your front tire up onto the little curbing there, de-wedge the car, you just pivot and you just drive off. And then what inevitably happens is you just get everybody who's driving it the other way, leaves you a door, and you just get in there. And then once you have your nose in, then you turn 3 and 4 is yours, right? So turn one was a tricky one, although you know, that whole track seemed tricky for everybody but Dan. Ryan Kimball was pretty fast there. Taylor Holdaway, you know, he wasn't the other regular, but Ryan was, and he was he had some quick moments. He just got mired up in traffic, but
and that happens.
I'm not gonna lie. Watching Dan out front, I think he put it in cruise control when he pulled like a quarter length lead on the field or more. He was not pushing it, but that just shows like how good that home field advantage really actually is.
Oh yeah, I feel like Rick Burbridge would have had a good shot at them if he didn't get involved in some incidences at Flamborough Speedway last time out as well.
Right.
I just realized that was just a weekend
ago.
ago.
And it's easy, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to get into a little incident, right? And a little incident can have dire consequences, and it be not your fault.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Um, this has been one of the fun interviews we've had in quite a while. We'd love to get you guys back. This is to talk more racing, because who doesn't love talking about racing? Right?
Who
That's
doesn't?
why
I
we
love
do what
it.
we do.
For sure.
But I do want to give you guys the next few minutes here to thank any sponsors of the Wide World of Motorsports, any friends, family. You guys have the next couple minutes here to thank whoever you guys want to, forgetting you guys where you guys are where you guys are now.
I got to thank my wife, particularly, because she's the one that lets me go do all this crazy stuff. The WOMS does not have any sponsors. I don't think we actively look for that kind of thing, but we just haven't done it. We have other reasons, but I think it's the fans, the people. It's guys like Damin who joined, Thomas Eggleston, who is our Formula One guy. He's down in the States too, lives in Wisconsin. He's great. He was a great addition to the show as well. We raced with him on iRacing. Anybody who watches and gives us a like and likes what we do, that's awesome. I mean, I think it's unbelievable that people even want to talk to us about what we do, because I didn't ever expect that.
Come on, everyone wants to talk to us, Wally. But, I got people to thank. So thank you to Mitchell, who was the PR director for VIR, who accepted my. I reached out cold back in 2018 for the press credential. I got to thank Karen, who's PR for Mike Harmon Racing. She got me pit passes years ago for photos that I had submitted to the team. I did the shooting of the fan, and that really, that kind of got me into it too. I got to thank the crew from Rubbins Racing, Christopher, Sarah, and Jacob. They were the editors and other writers, and they've gone on to do other things. Sarah's actually PR for Ryan Ellis, NASCAR Xfinity driver. So, she's done a lot of good stuff, but they really got me started with that. And then, of course, Toby Christie with TobyChristie.com. And then, of course, I got to, thank everyone in the Canadian motorsports community the last couple of years who've really embraced me, and a lot of the guys in the Pennies, quote unquote, the NASCAR Canada Series garage. I've gone to a number of these races now, and it's cool. You see some of these guys on almost a regular basis, and they recognize you. It's a really cool feeling. So thanks thanks to all you guys, with your podcast, and really being team players, and really helping to promote each other and raise each other up. It's really cool to see. So thanks to all you guys as well.
You did way better than me. You did way better in thanking than I did. There's just so many. If I don't thank one, if I miss one, I'll feel too bad about it. But there's so many.
I forget things all the time, and all of my lives that I do for my other hobby, man. I always, as soon as I hit done, I realize I forgot like 2 or 3 things. So it happens. People, but they know. At the end of the day, they know that you were important in their stuff too. So it's okay.
And that's all that matters. Guys, it has been an absolute pleasure having you guys on. We're going to do this again. I really hope to see you guys I'm really hoping they bring back the podcasting zone at Motorama.
They are.
They got you.
They
got you.
Mr. Positive.
I talked to the, what's his name? McPherson?
Oh yeah. Greg McPherson.
Yes, Greg. I talked to him at CTMP, and he's like, man, the response we got was overwhelmingly positive from the participants in Motorama, from the fans. So he's like, we're 100% doing that next year.
Let's go.
Awesome.
I guess that's breaking news,
I won't actually, and breaking news, I will not be there because that is my kid's 10th birthday.
Okay, that is completely understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be there.
that is completely my little one just celebrated 10 years last year, so it's a big one. You got to be there for it.
Yeah.
But
We'll get a
we'll
cardboard cutout of you.
that's dude. We got to do that.
Oh man. Yeah.
Cardboard cutout, just set in a chair. Take your photo with Wally. Like make a segment out of it.
Yes.
Oh man, that would be. It's gonna get vandalized for sure, though.
No, not with the guys you have or who'll be there. That's for sure.
They'll be the ones vandalizing.
Yeah. That's he's
no.
not wrong.
We'll be professional. We'll be professional. Maybe a little mustache or something like that, and like a curly mustache or something. Who knows?
I like that.
But guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you guys for joining us this week on the True North Racing Podcast.
Thanks for having
Thank you so
us.
much.
Man, we had such a blast with the guys from the Wide World of Motorsports. You guys can find them on Facebook, Instagram, X. You guys can listen to the Wide World of Motorsports on Spotify, YouTube. Follow them on Facebook. They keep you up to date on when they post new episodes, and they give you a link straight to their Spotify right from there. So go follow them. Go check it out. I love what they do. Go support another local racing podcast, because not only are they don't just cover Ontario racing, they cover a lot of other motorsports, and it's great that they're doing this. That they came on the show to talk about their program.
Yeah, that's
Mike,
great.
Mike, I think is such a cool guy. I met him a couple years ago at Motorama. Him and I talked for a few minutes. Nice, easygoing dude. Family man. It's great to see. So it's great that he got the start with APC series as a media guy. Look, and I know he's not looking for any praises, but as a guy who's in social media here and does what we do, it's nice to see guys like that get a chance to do that.
Yeah.
I don't really have much else really to talk about right now. Except for make sure you guys come out to Flamborough Speedway next Saturday night, June 22nd, for Meet the Drivers Night at Flamborough Speedway. It is sure to be a hell of a fun night. Lots of action, lots of you get a chance to walk on the track and meet some of your favorite drivers. You got I think the Pure Stocks, Mini Stocks Pro Challenge, and I think even late models are running as well.
I think it's a Super Stocks next. Supposed to be the Super Stocks next.
Well, unfortunately, we haven't seen any Super Stocks, which is unfortunate. Flamborough, I think, does a really good job with their track. Really does well for Super Stocks, and they'll be rolling the Super Stock Dayco Super Stock Series will be rolling into town on July 12th, 13th. It's a week after the 6th. I know that 13th.
13th, if it's the weekend we're off.
Yeah, that's the weekend y'all are off. So yeah, July 13th, the Dayco Super Stocks will roll into Flamborough Speedway alongside the second Flamborough round of the APC United Late Model Series. There's not much else we really got to talk to you guys about this week. So thank you to all our partners who Driving with Hailey, Peps Pro Painting, GraphInk Design Studio, Taylor to You Media Design, and of course all our subsidiary partners as well. We can't thank you guys enough. Make sure you guys follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and tune into joemedia.ca to see any latest articles, photos, videos. You guys you can stay really up to date at joemedia.ca. Other than that, Megan, where can they find MRC Racing on social media?
TikTok is, I believe it's MRC Racing 73. Instagram is mrc.racing.73, and on Facebook at MRC Racing.
All right. Well, and you guys can follow me personally at Jon Morrison or John Robert John. Wow. You guys can follow me on Facebook, Instagram. I'd forget my handles on there, but don't be shy. Reach out. Let's talk some racing. But that's going to do it for us for episode 139 of the True North Racing Podcast, presented by Driving with Hailey. For Megan Mitchell, I'm Jon Morrison. We'll see you guys next week. Bye now.
Yeah.
Lights, hear the engine rooming by. Smell the gas and feel the vibe. Going into overdrive. Drop the flag, then the car zooming by. Ayy, True North Racing. Let's go.